بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا من سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. After praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sending immense greetings and salutations upon the final Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, continuing from the theme of the ayat that we just heard being recited in Salatul Maghrib, talking about the sending of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. We find numerous ayat inside the Quran with similar wordings and a similar theme, talking about the task and the role of the sending of the messenger. One of those ayat we just heard, also another famous ayat that we find coming towards the end of Surah Al-Imran, some verse 164, that we find لَقَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has conferred a great blessing upon the believers. إِذْ بَعَثَ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَإِنْ كَانُوا مِنْ قَبْلُ لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has conferred a great blessing upon the believers. Amongst the ultimate blessings upon this Muslim ummah, upon this earth, is the sending of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. إِذْ بَعَثَ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ. Sent a messenger from amongst their own selves, and amongst his main four tasks that we find is to recite upon them his verses, وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, and to purify them and to teach them, and then to teach them the book and wisdom. These are the two elements that we want to focus upon tonight. بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. What does it mean وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ? He is the one that purifies and teaches them and nurtures them, and he is the one that teaches them al-hikmah, teaches them wisdom. Many ulama tafasir have gone to various interpretations. What is the meaning of al-hikmah? قد يكون بمعنى السنة. من معاني الحكمة that we find is, according to this ayah, that the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam has been given the Quran, and likewise has been given the Sunnah as well. وقد قيل أن المعنى الحكمة الفهم العقل. We find the meaning of hikmah, the other meaning is al-fahm, understanding, intellect. You're able to comprehend and understand the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And whoever has been given hikmah has been given immense deep comprehension and understanding. Also min ma'ani al-hikmah, the meaning of wisdom that we find is وَضْعُ الشَّيْءِ فِي مَكَانِهِ. That's how ulama loosely they translate the meaning of hikmah is wisdom is to place something in its right place. While dhulm, oppression, is to place something in an incorrect location, is a linguistic meaning. So any form of oppression, if you're not worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that becomes dhulm, because you're not placing your worship in the right box, bima'na, in the right environment that you should be calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the Quran mentions, inna shirka la dhulmun azim. When Luqman in the 31st chapter, he advises his son, Ya bunayya la tushrik billah. O my beloved son, never commit shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna shirka, indeed shirk that we find, la dhulmun azim. Barakallahu feek, is the most immense, the most greatest of oppression. Al-qatl, al-sariqa, stealing, al-zina, al-liwab, al-fawahish, adultery, whatever it may be. All these sins are grave sins. They're major sins, min al-kabair. But amongst the most gravest of sins, the most biggest sin that we find is al-ishraku billahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the ultimate sin of al-kabair, that Muslims should be aware of this action, staying away from it. And then it begins to trickle down all other forms of dhulm. What we can see today around the Muslim world, don't need to go into the political dimension, you can see what's taking place. It's all anwa' of dhulm. These are all forms of dhulm that we find whereby a person is not placing the right authority in the right place. So to purify them and to teach them the wisdom is the key aspect that we need to focus upon inside our lives. Strange it is that just a few ayat before this, or depending on the script that you read, on actually on the same page, you find another ayah inside the Quran that may slip us by at times. فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لَهُمْ وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لَهُمْ. By the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you was soft, compassionate, lenient, gentle, full of mercy towards the people. By the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you had been left to your own self, or you had been harsh and rude and coarse and difficult upon those people, لَانْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ, they would have split away from you. This is also from the teachings and the etiquettes and the behavior of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Thus we find numerous ahadith. يَسِّرُوا وَلَا تُعَسِّرُوا بَشِّرُوا وَلَا تُنَفِّرُوا. Be easy and gentle to the people. Don't be harsh and rude and difficult to the people. Give people glad tidings and don't push people away. You want to be strict and hard, be hard upon your own self. You want to be difficult upon your own self. That should not be the way that a person calls a person to Islam or speaks to another Muslim, or even on a wider scale engages with the people around them. Because we know that amongst the essence of Islam is based upon mercy, is based upon compassion. Every day you hear Christians always say, oh, your religion, your way of life is full of oppression or hardship or difficulties. There's no mercy. Who said that? That's false. Islam is based upon compassion. The whole sending of the messenger that we find, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. The end of Surah Al-Anbiya, the 21st chapter of the Quran, talking about all the different Anbiya, the prophets. Amongst the concluding ayat, it concludes by mentioning, we did not send you except for as a mercy to all of the worlds. Whether it be the human beings, or whether it be the world of the jinn. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا كَافَةً لِلنَّاسِ بَشِيرًا وَنَذِيرًا وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. We did not send you except for as a warner, and one who's giving glad tidings to the whole of humanity, to all of the worlds. But most people don't seem to understand that. And even more specific, this rahmah, this mercy of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam is specific to whom? To the believers. You know, at the end of Surah Tawbah, you find another strange verse talking about the depiction or the description of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ عَزِيزٌ عَلَيْهِ مَا عَنِتُّمْ حَرِيصٌ عَلَيْكُمْ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَؤُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. Strange is this ayah if you go and study. This Surah Tawbah is Surah Al-Qital. The 9th chapter of the Quran is either called Surah Tawbah, Surah of Repentance, or Surah of Warfare. But many of the ayat inside they are talking about jihad, about striving, struggling, etc. But this ayat, which concludes towards the end of the surah, talks once again about what? Compassion, about mercy. Indeed, there's come a messenger from amongst your own selves. It grieves him, it harms him, it troubles him. He is over anxious over you. He is with you, merciful and pitiful. What is the depiction of this ayah? In the hadith in Bukhari that we find, the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam mentioned, my parable is like a person who's kindled a fire, who ignites a fire. And you find that the mosquitoes and the insects, they come towards light. And they go past this individual and they go into the fire. This individual is trying to stop these insects, these creatures from going into the fire, pushing them away. But naturally, he cannot control everything. For some angle, they still go bypass him and they enter into the fire. He said, that is my method, that is my parable. I am standing in front of what? The hellfire. I'm stopping people from doing what? Going into the fire. But guess what? Some people are bypassing me, going over me, and still what? Entering into the fire. Who said that Islam is based about pushing people into the fire? Encouraging people that send people, as many people as you can towards Jahannam? La. Kullu ummati yadkhuluna al-jannah. All of my ummah will enter into paradise. Except for the person who refuses. Is there anyone tonight who wants to refuse to go into paradise? Is there any Muslim who's going to refuse to go into paradise? So the companions posed exactly the same question. وَمَنْ يَأْبَى يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ? Who's going to refuse? Is there any individual who's going to refuse to enter into paradise? The answer is given. مَنْ أَطَاعَنِي دَخَلَ الْجَنَّةِ وَمَنْ عَصَانِي, and whoever obeys me enters into paradise. وَمَنْ عَصَانِي فَقَدْ أَبَى. Whoever disobeys me has rejected, has stopped themselves, prohibited themselves from going where? Into paradise. That's how simple life is. There's nothing hidden about Islam. Islam is ad-din al-Hanafiyya, is a pure, simple, clear, orthodox way of life. That's how simple Islam is. Many of us, unfortunate clerics, we made it so difficult for the masses. If we just present the simple teachings of Islam to the masses around us, you'll find great iqbal, you'll find great acceptance of the people towards the teaching of Islam. And that's exactly what the Prophet Muhammad professed inside his life, that people began to become attracted towards him because of his simplicity and the teachings that he developed. Yes, it's true that none of us will never ever, we can say we're similar to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But at least we know, based upon the ayah inside the Quran, that there tends to be certain actions of similarities we try to develop inside our life. As the Quran mentions, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرَ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. Indeed, for you to emulate and to copy the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the best example. So that's what a Muslim should be doing inside their life. Muslims shouldn't be looking here or there. Muslims should be looking directly at the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to develop that inside their life. There's some glimpses, some moments of that life may come into our lives that we begin to deliver that same message. Because obviously we know وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. Your character is so sublime, so manifest, so high, so lofty, the way that he conducted himself. And thus tonight we want to look at certain of those etiquettes, those teaching methods. How did he teach the people around him to make those individuals يُخْرِجُهُم مِّنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى. He takes these people out of darknesses, not just ظُلُمَات, immense darknesses. He takes these people out of the darknesses by the permission of Allah and brings them where? To the light. Read through the life of the masses of the companions. Rather, read through the life of the people, the Bedouin Arabs at that time. Read through what their life was. These were the individuals who were the worst of creation at that time. Sifatul Amma. Read through their life. It's not hidden. Their history is documented. The way they conducted themselves, the way that they behaved. When the messenger came, look what happened to those same individuals. Sifatul Amma. They all became what? The best of individuals. Even the Quraysh are still, to a certain degree, those who don't even believe, still are respected. Because why? A form of leniency or lineage that they have that goes back to whom? To the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we want to look at those glimpses, the moments of how he changed his people and had a big influence. Why can't we take those same changes or those same elements of teaching and begin to have a big impact on the people around us? For example, just like we now sitting inside the masjid, how did the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam begin to conduct himself? In a hadith was being narrated by Imam Bukhari and Muslim as well, that we find one day in Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu. Anas ibn Malik, the narrator of this hadith that we find, is the individual خدمت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم 10 سنين. I served the messenger for 10 years. Not 5 minutes, not 10 days, not 100 days. I served him for 10 years in my life. He never ever said to me, why did you do this? Why did you do that? Why don't you do it like this? Think about this deeply. This is the person who's serving the Prophet Muhammad for 10 years, and he says, I never noticed any time the Prophet rebuked me. Never stopped me inside my life. We can't work with people for how long? We can't work for longer than 10 minutes, can we? And problems begin to develop, don't they? Even Islamic world, okay? Ask us. After 10 minutes, problems begin to take place. We have no patience, no tolerance, no understanding. Everything we say has to be right. We shouldn't listen to someone else. Shouldn't take advice from someone else. Shouldn't listen to another view or understand from a different perspective. This is not the way of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. قال بينما نحن في المسجد مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Whilst we were sitting in the masjid with the messenger, إذ جاء أعرابي. All of a sudden, a Bedouin Arabi entered the masjid. فقام يبول في المسجد. He stood up, and guess what he started to do? he began to urinate in the masjid. Tasawwaru hada. Think about this now. Imagine someone coming into the masjid today and urinating. That person won't be living. That would be a dead person if he. فقال أصحاب رسول الله مه بمعنى كلمة زجر. ما هذا؟ إيش هذا في المسجد? What are you doing inside the masjid? Urinating inside the masjid on the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا تزرموا دعوه بمعنى لا تقطعوه. Leave him alone. Don't stop him. Leave him alone to carry on urinating. فَتَرَكُوهُ حَتَّى بَالَ. They left him alone until he completed his urination. ثُمَّ إِنَّ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ صلى الله عليه وسلم دعاه فقال له. Then the messenger called him, said bring him here, and spoke to him. إن هذه المساجد لا تصلح لشيء من هذا البول ولا القذر. These houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not befitting to urinate in them or to have any form of defilement, defecation or anything corrupt or filthy to be placed inside the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إنما هي لذكر الله عز وجل والصلاة وقراءة القرآن. This, the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is for dhikr of Allah, salah, the prayer and recitation of the Quran. As a side point, it should be advised to all of the young brothers who always say that the imam's complaining about us talking. Here's the evidence, okay? This is evidence from the hadith. The house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is designed for the dhikr of Allah, recitation of the Quran and reading your prayers. So you can have a basic discussion, but to raise your voices and to think this masjid is a place just to come in the souk, the marketplace, and to discuss and to talk, here's the evidence. Because some young people, they don't want to listen to some of the imam, unfortunately. Okay, here's the dalil from Bukhari and Muslim. The words of the Prophet Muhammad in the masjid is a place of serenity, of tranquility. The people come to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to be in a state of devotion. People don't want to hear people chatting away, talking away, or discussing their politics or whatever it may be. Go outside the masjid and talk, or go downstairs and make whatever discussion that you want to carry out with. أو كما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال فأمر رجلا من القوم فجاء بدلو من ماء فشنه عليه بمعنى صبه. He told a person to go bring a bucket of water and said, take this bucket of water and throw it upon the urine and purify it. Now ulama of hadith have began, shura al-hadith, begin to discuss this hadith. What is the wisdom and the etiquettes and the behavior of the Prophet Muhammad inside this hadith? The companions were outraged. The messenger said, leave him alone. Da'uhu, leave him alone. La taqta'uhu, don't stop him. Here the first wisdom that you find, that the najasa has already developed inside the masjid. This person has already made the masjid impure. So now if you rebuke him, he's going to run around and do what? Urinate where? The whole of the masjid. That's what you call wisdom. He's already made it impure. Too late. There's no point stopping him now or beating him and making him run around. Leave him, because najasa has taken place. Second, you find ulama of hadith that mention, if you begin to stop this individual, يعني قد يضره, this could harm the individual. If a person is urinating and they begin to stop and they begin to pause, this can have a big impact upon their bowel system. This is medically proven as well. So leave this individual to urinate. Likewise, ulama, they highlight this principle that the person should know, ar-rifq bil jahil. Leniency, softness with a person who's jahil, is ignorant. Ahlul Badiyah, this person is from the desert. He's from the jungle. What else do you expect from this individual? That's what made the Prophet Muhammad special. He could speak to the average individual and mala'ul qawm, to the elite people. He knew how to engage with all of them. So a person who Muslim, when they see certain Muslims doing certain actions or certain people doing certain actions, you should understand thaqafatun nas. You should understand the mentality of the people around you. You can't now take what may exist in the blessed lands of the Haram in Mecca and Medina or Muslim community, come here and expect that, everyone should be like this inside this community. People are being influenced with the community around them, the culture and the practices around them. So the Muslim is able to adapt to that culture. Doesn't mean you adapt and take on that culture. You're able to understand the people and you're able to engage with them and able to impress upon them and to teach them. Likewise, we never sent a messenger to his people except with the language of his people. A messenger speaks the language of the people, is able to engage with the people. A messenger didn't come speaking a foreign language Like today that we have people come from foreign lands and want to preach to the people. They don't know anything about the people. Don't know anything about the language. That doesn't make sense. The person who lives with the community needs to understand their problems and to be able to address them. Likewise, when a person should know that which is being extracted here, that the prevent this person is to stop the greater, the greater evil. This is a lesser evil. Let this person carry on urinating inside the masjid rather than causing a greater evil. So Al-Hakim, man ya'raf khayr al-khayrayn wa sharr al-sharrayn. The wise one is the one that knows the two good things and the two evil things. So you have a choice between two good things. Obviously you go to the ultimate. You cannot go to the best, and you go to something which is slightly less. And likewise, the intelligent one is the one that knows this is extreme evil, this is a level evil, and weighs it up. And only a wise individual who has understanding will be given that fiqh fi din. That's why it's been attributed to قَدْ رُوِيَ عَنْ Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullah alayh. Once he was standing, we all know, there's no two doubts, no ulama of Ahlul Sunnah debate about the rank of Ibn Taymiyyah, whether it be with the qalam, whether it be with the pen, or be the safe with the sword. Everyone knows what his stance was. So imagine this great sheikh, he's standing with his students, and he sees some of the Tartars, they're drunk, in a state of intoxication. Some of the students says, look sheikh, these people are drunk. Why are you not warning them? Why are you not making al-amr bil-ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar? Why are you not advising, ordering the good and forbidding the evil? Because that's what some people in their zeal, their passion, that's what straight away, ordering the good and forbidding the evil. Ma tafqah shay. Don't understand anything. It's only in your eyes you see as ordering the good and forbidding the evil. Huna dawabit wa shurur. There's principles. There's ways of ordering the good and forbidding the evil. Ulama have laid out 4 elements when a person is removing an evil. If that evil, you remove it and it totally removes it, then that's awla, that's good. If you're speaking against that evil and it brings it less, that's jaiz as well. If you're prohibiting the evil and you find that evil, ihtimal, qad yazid wa qad yanqus. You begin to forbid that evil, it could increase, or people could move to another evil and into more evils, then it carries ihtimal, 50-50. You have to now think whether if I order it or I don't order it. And the 4th thing that many of us forget, some of us in forbidding the evil, it goes to a total different dimension. Yaftah abwab lishar. Opens the doors to much more evil. And only a wise individual begins to understand that. As Ibn Taymiyyah said to his students, leave them alone. Leave them drunk, lying here now. Because if we begin to prohibit them, they will wake up, they will go down to the marketplace, they will go into the city, they will begin to get drunk, they will loot the wealth, kill the people, rape the women, torture the children. This is fiqh fi din. Someone may say he's compromising, but he was nobody argues today that he shakes some Ibn Taymiyyah, do they? Do they argue? But he had understanding of the situation. That if I now rebuke these people, they will rebel against us. And they'll go and do much more haram action that we can ever imagine inside our lives. Likewise, we find another example that we find. How about the man who spoke or who sneezed inside salah? One companion, he spoke inside the prayer. He responded to either the salam or to the sneeze. And people began to look at this person. Don't you even know it's not allowed to talk inside the prayer? Because previously it was allowed. If somebody gave you salam, you could respond to the salam. Somebody sneezed, you could say yarhamukallah. It was allowed. It was only till later on that you find that it became وَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ, remain silent inside prayers. But other than that, previously, you could talk to someone. Unlike today, you find don't even going around the haram, people on their mobile phones and all that, everything, iPad, this. It's supposed to be worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Huh? So you find people, this used to happen before. So this person, when he spoke, everybody rebuked him. So you know what this person said? He said, the only one who treated me well, he said, forgive me and forgive Muhammad. Don't forgive anybody else. Forgive me and forgive Muhammad. Don't forgive anybody else, because everybody else has been what to me? Is being rude to me. Only forgive the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Likewise, you find leaving the masjid environment, coming out to the community around us. The teaching methods. As once the Prophet Muhammad was in the state of i'tikaf, you find in the book of i'tikaf in Sahih al-Bukhari, his wife Safiya, radiyallahu ta'ala anha, came to visit him. And she would comb his hair, talk to him inside the state of i'tikaf, and then he would walk out. And we know that the rooms of the Prophet Muhammad, the hujurat, they were linked to the masjid. So he walked out with her in the depths of the darkness, speaking to her. And 2 individuals they saw a shadow of a woman standing with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they began to hasten. They began to rush in their walking. He said to them, "Ala rislikuma innaha Safiya." He said, "Be at rest, be at ease. The person I'm standing next to is Safiya, is my wife. It's not a strange woman I'm standing to. Maybe something may destroy these individuals, a thought may come into their mind." فَقَالَ Subhanallah. He said, glorified be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not possible we could think that you could be standing with a strange woman. فَقَالَ رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الشيطان يجري من ابن آدم مجرى الدم. Indeed, Adam, the shaitan runs through the veins of the blood of, just like the blood runs through the veins of human beings. So meaning that the bad thought may come into your mind thinking that I'm standing with a strange woman. So وَقَدْ خَشِيتُ أَنْ يَقْذِفَ فِي قُلُوبِكُمَا الشَّرَّ. I'm teaching you this, that maybe some shar, some evil may come into your hearts, some evil thoughts. Teaching methods. Don't place yourself in a doubtful situation. A Muslim, fil hadar. Muslim is always seeking to protect themselves. You can't be placing yourself in a doubtful situation and saying to people, "Ab Husnul-Dhan." Can't say to people, "Think well of me." You're in a difficult situation, in a bad situation. May Allah forbid you're in a nightclub and say to people, "Think well of me. I'm just giving da'wah to the people." Or I left my keys, I went to collect my keys. No. Person shouldn't be in that type of environment. Or many young brothers want to go back on Friday night, Saturday night, go and preach to people outside nightclubs. How many people listen to you? Billahi alaykum. How many people listen to you? How many people do you end up listening to? People in a state of nudity, drunkenness, intoxication, drug taking, abuse. You call that da'wah? You call that giving da'wah in that type of environment? You call that giving da'wah? Da'wah as an honor, as a dignity. You don't go to a person in a state in that manner and think, I'm going to attract this person towards Islam. The shaitan is inside their body, flying through their body. They can't care less at that moment. Just because one or two people respond, you can see what the rest of the thousands that they do. So this is the second teaching that we learn, is the way that we conduct ourselves and the way that we surround ourselves. In protecting ourselves, that people don't think bad or evil regarding us. Also we find, related to this, walking outside, that you find a man came to the Prophet Muhammad and began to grab a garment he was wearing, a cloak he was wearing, and began to grab it. "Give it to me." And just began to thrust and take it away, and left a scar on the neck of the Prophet Muhammad which became visible. Once again, this was the way these people, they conducted themselves. This was their etiquette. This was their behavior. So Muslim, يتحمل, has to bear this. لا تثريب عليكم اليوم يغفر الله لكم وهو أرحم الراحمين. These ayat towards the end of Surah Yusuf that we find, the Prophet Muhammad was at a wide chest. No blame upon you for the hardships, the difficulties, the words you said about me, the way you tortured me, the way you persecuted me. This is towards the end of his life, when he entered into Mecca victorious. He came and he conquered, but he came and he entered in a humble manner. In a humble manner he entered, didn't come full of arrogance or pride, even though he had every right to do so. And that's how a Muslim is. So this individual began to pull and say, "Give me this cloak that's been given to you." Then he said, ثُمَّ قَالْ يَا مُحَمَّدْ مُرْ لِي مِنْ مَالِ اللَّهِ الَّذِي عِنْدَكَ. Then he said, "Oh Muhammad, give me the money that Allah has given you." Tell someone to give the wealth that's been given to you, or the wealth that you've collected, give it to me. So one rudeness, now second rudeness. Obviously you can imagine the companions, people like Umar, their sword comes where? Comes out, doesn't it? Ready to spill the blood of this individual. How dare firstly do this action, and secondly, how dare he speak to the Prophet Muhammad in this manner. فَالْتَفَتَ إِلَيْهِ صلى الله عليه وسلم فَضَحِكَ. Imagine, تصوروا هذا, think about this deeply. The Prophet Muhammad turned towards him. He didn't say to him, "What's the problem?" or shout at him. فَضَحِكَ. He smiled. Smiled at him. Okay, smiled at this individual. إِدْفَعْ بِالَّتِي. We just heard this word. إِدْفَعْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. Repel evil with what? With goodness. Because perhaps the individual who's your enemy, كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ, becomes what? Your close and intimate bosom friend. That's what you find in the English proverb. They say, don't hate a man so much, because one day he could become what? Your best friend. And never love a man so much, because one day he could become your worst enemy. Okay, that's what Islam teaches us. Don't love a man too much, because he could one day become your enemy. And don't hate a man too much, because one day he could become your best friend. Hope that happens to Bush though, huh? ثُمَّ أَمَرَ لَهُ بِعَطَاءٍ. Then he commanded him, give this person whatever he wants. Whatever he asks for, give it to him. لا حرج, ما في حرج, no harm in that. He wants my cloak, let him take my cloak. He wants some wealth, give him the wealth, no problem. That's how a Muslim is. That's you find reading, if you read Al-Shama'il al-Muhammadiyya, written by Imam Tirmidhi, you find in the Shama'il, the characteristics, the behavior of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know, a person could just take him by his hand, start speaking to him, ask him this, talk to him. Simple behavior, no entourage, no protection, no one there. Simple individual he was, that people began to easily relate to him and began to understand him and take on board his message. Likewise, we find that وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. The ignorant individual that disturb you, the Muslim just says, Ibadur Rahman, say peace be upon you, and carry on the journey that they have to do. Always look at the bigger impact of change. Everybody in the society at the moment has made a picture. We are actually falling into the net and falling into that picture. Don't fall into that picture, brothers, and don't fall into that net. Fall where? Outside of that picture. And any human being will begin to think. Because they think 1, 2, 3, this is what we are like. That's what they're being programmed, and that's what they're being taught. You show them the 1, 2, 3 things of the Prophet Muhammad, and I guarantee you, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, you will see how people begin to see us in a different light. But we begin to repel the way that they want us to repel back to them, and this is going to create more friction, more misunderstanding about the message of Islam and the role of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Likewise, you find a young man now coming and asking personal advice. He's not asking for property or wealth, but this person wants to talk about the rights of other individuals. Can this take place today? Can a young person come to the Imam today, or come to a person and make such a proposition? أن فتى شابا أتى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال يا رسول الله إئذن لي بزنا. Young man comes to the messenger and says to him, give me permission to commit zina. Imagine that again. Can you imagine that today? A young boy coming to the Imam. You can't even speak, unfortunately, to your parents or somebody about certain matters, certain affairs which have been documented inside the Quran and Sunnah. One reason why there is so much promiscuity and lewdness and wickedness and immorality amongst us Muslims is because we don't understand the Quran and the Sunnah. We think the Quran doesn't talk about love. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that we place love and affection between the two spouses. I walk 100 yards and my wife walks 500 yards behind me somewhere. Can't show love and affection. It's haram. That's our culture. It's haram to show love and affection. It's good to show it to your girlfriend, isn't it? Isn't it? It's good to show love and send her roses and write cards to her, isn't it? It's allowed. Even in the Muslim world, you'll be quite surprised. In some of the Muslim countries, I don't want to mention them, but to have more than one wife is haram. It's become the law. These are Muslim countries, okay? It's become the law. Not that we're encouraging this practice, it's a sunnah that exists there. So one of these individuals, he got caught by the police. He had 2 wives, got caught by the police. So the police arrested him. He said, you know it's haram to have 2 wives? He said, what are you talking about? He said, what are you talking about? So, well, who's that woman we keep on seeing you coming out of her apartment and, being there? That's not your wife? He goes, no, that's my girlfriend. Like, no problem, handcuffs, go, off you go. Khalas. If he said it's his wife, he's going where? To jail, to prison. He says, that's my girlfriend. Shaqiqati, habibati, ma fi mushkila. Go, off you go. These are Muslim lands. Ya ikhwan. يُخْرِبُونَ بُيُوتَهُمْ بِأَيْدِيهِمْ. We destroy our homes with what? With our own hands. فَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Travel through the Muslim lands. تَرَى عَجَائِبْ. You see strange things. I just came out of the haram. I flew an hour out in another Muslim country. The masjid or the musalla was filthy. It was a small place. Right next to it was a great big bar. An hour flight away from the haram. I saw it with my own eyes. Sometimes people say, I exaggerate. Okay, I've seen a lot of the Muslim world. Filthy carpet, just about put our heads down on the floor to offer our prayers, and right next to it is a great big bar serving whatever you want to drink. Alcohol being sold openly. Nude images, pictures of women, all plastered all across the airport. And then we talk about, why are we Muslims in a bad state? There's the answer. Only 2 airlines don't serve alcohol. Blessed PIA, yeah? And Saudi Arabia, Khatut, Saudi. Other than that, every single Muslim airline serves what? Alcohol. Who's telling you to serve alcohol? Is someone put handcuffs around you? Has someone forced you to serve alcohol? Who's compelling you? Is there any ikhtilaf? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is there any ara al-fiqhiyah that say, yes, flying over here, flying over there, if they want to drink, serve them drinks? Is there any opinion? Even this the World Cup phenomenon that many Muslims, they all get excited in the World Cup, mashallah, in a Muslim country. Do you really think it's going to help the Muslim world? Do you really, deep down inside your heart, do you really think that the World Cup being held in a Muslim country, or the Grand Prix, or the rally, or the golf tournament, or the swimming contest, or even Olympics, is really going to do a great big service to Islam? Or certain individual scores a goal and goes down inside and say, oh, mashallah, he's a good Muslim. Do you really think that matters? That's how shallow we become. That's what this dunya is for us. Quran is talking about them. It's become us. Life for us has become pomp, play and amusement. وَزِينَةٌ وَتَفَاخُرٌ بَيْنَكُمْ. A mutual boasting about your children, your wealth, your property. That's what life has become for many of us Muslims. So we're destroying our own environment, our own home, with our own hands. So a Muslim should be one who's trying to rectify the things around them, teaching the people. These are things which the asas, the foundation, to stay away from this. So this young individual, just like in today's society, that zina is rampant. Amongst the kaba'ir is rampant. You'll be shocked. Every other young individual, may Allah forbid, is involved in some form of illicit relationship. It's a norm. It is the common norm that every other individual, young individual, involved in some form of relationship with the opposite gender. Whereas years ago, it was totally different. So these are the issues we need to tackle. So this individual, he asked, فَأَقْبَلَ الْقَوْمَ عَلَيْهِ فَزَجَرُوهُ. So once again, the people got angry, they got frustrated, they began to warn. How dare you come to the messenger and ask such a question in a public gathering? Give me permission to commit zina. وَقَالُوا مَهْ. What is this? You're coming out with such a question. فَقَالَ أُدْنُهُ فَدَنَا. Let him come close. This individual came close, مِنْهُ قَرِيبًا. فَجَلَسَ قَالَ أَتُحِبُّهُ لِأُمِّكَ. He sat down, made him sit down. The Prophet made him sit down and said, do you love it for your mother? قَالَ لَا وَاللَّهِ جَعَلَنِي اللَّهُ فِدَاءَكَ. May I be sacrificed for you. قَالَ وَلَا النَّاسُ يُحِبُّونَهُ لِأُمَّهَاتِهِمْ. And thus the people don't love it for their own mothers. قَالَ أَفَتُحِبُّهُ لِابْنَتِكَ. You love it for your daughter? He said, no. He said, that's how the people, وَلَا النَّاسُ يُحِبُّونَهُ لِبَنَاتِهِمْ. Likewise, the people don't like it if you do it to their daughters. Would you like it لِعَمَّتِكَ? Would you like it for your paternal aunt? He said, no. Because that's how the people don't like it for their paternal aunts. Do you like it for لِخَالَاتِكَ? Do you like it for your aunts, your maternal aunties? Would you like someone to commit zina with them? He said, no. He said, that is, the Prophet mentioned, that is how the people are towards their aunties. قال فوضع يده عليه وقال اللهم اغفر ذنبه وطهر قلبه وحسن فرجه. The Prophet Muhammad then placed his blessed hand upon his chest and said to him, "O Allah, forgive his sins, purify his heart, and make him guard and preserve his chastity." And after that time, this individual, ذلك الفتى يلتفت إلى شيء. This individual never ever got tempted ever again in his life. Began to guard and preserve himself. So the teaching methods are there. We know what the young people are going through. We should advise them, speak to the parents as well. There has to be some common ground. The environment that we grew up with, when you're at the age of 35, whatever, maybe it's possible to delay your marriage and get married, it's possible. There's separate gender schools, institutes of learning, work environment, everything is there. So the person doesn't have that emotional feeling. We cannot apply that today in this society, where people become easily enticed, the environment all around them. So a person has to begin to advise their parents as well, that you need to take positive steps in trying to protect and preserve your children. Because may Allah forbid, some portion, not say the whole blame, but some of the blame returns back to whom? To the parents, who are at times making it difficult for the children to get married. I'm not saying that the child is free, that you can now go and commit zina and say, I blame my mum and dad, okay? The point here is that some of the blame can go back to the parents. I'm not trying to find the ways of trying to protect their children's identity, etc. Also, then we find the wider community towards the non-Muslims. If you look at Qissatul Hudaybiyah, the story of the pact, the agreement that was made between the Prophet Muhammad and the Quraysh at that time, if you read through that, you find some strange things as well. How you find that the disbelievers came very forceful towards the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. فَدَعَ النَّبِيُّ صلى الله عليه وسلم الكاتب فقال النبي اكتب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So the Prophet Muhammad called a writer, a scribe. He said to the scribe, write down Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. فقال سهيل, this individual Suhail said, أما رحمن فوالله ما أدري ما هو. As for Ar-Rahman, we don't know who Ar-Rahman is. ولكن اكتب باسمك اللهم. But it's write in the name of Allah. Imagine the audacity. Imagine a non-Muslim coming today and saying, don't write Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Just write the name Allah, finish. That's what this individual is saying in front of all the companions who are there. And directly to the messenger that don't write the name Ar-Rahman. We don't know who Ar-Rahman is. فَقَالَ الْمُسْلِمُونَ, that indeed we're going to write Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The messenger said, اكتب باسمك اللهم. No problem. Write in the name of Allah. We begin in the name of Allah all alone. ثم قال هذا ما قضى عليه محمد رسول الله. فقال سهيل والله لو كنا نعلم أنك رسول الله ما صددناك عن البيت ولا قاتلناك. If you write Muhammad, the messenger of Allah, then that's the end of the story. The whole reason why we're fighting you and we're preventing you from coming to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because you claim to be the messenger of Allah. So we're not going to accept that. Don't write Muhammad the messenger of Allah. We're not going to accept that. ولكن اكتب محمد ابن عبد الله. Write Muhammad the son of Abdullah. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم والله إني لرسول الله وإن كذبتموني. I'm the messenger of Allah. Even if you lie or you reject that, I know I'm the messenger of Allah, but no problem. اكتب محمد ابن عبد الله. No problem. Write Muhammad the son of Abdullah. Write that down. Now this, if you read through this, most of the companions were upset. If not all the companions were upset about what has just taken place. The reason why we mention this is to look at the greater picture. This hadith in Bukhari, what was the final result? The result is inside the Quran, in Surah Al-Fath, that we find, إِنَّا فَتَحْنَا لَكَ فَتْحًا مُبِينًا. Indeed, we've given you the open, manifest victory. Where was the fighting? Was there any warfare? Is there anywhere in the Quran it mentions that we're giving you the opening? It normally talks about the hardships, the difficulties, you will suffer, they will suffer, and then this will happen. This begins by mentioning that this document, this agreement that you've made, we've given you the manifest victory. Because these individuals are going to break the covenant. They're going to break the agreement. So you find here that accepting the leader's decision based upon what? Upon experience. Some of us, we don't have that in our lives. We can't see the wider picture, the wider elements about certain things or certain practices. That's exactly what the Prophet Muhammad was able to see. He's able to see that these people are going to be treacherous. They're going to break the covenant and we'll have the upper hand. And just like today, alhamdulillah, we shouldn't fear. We should stick to principles. They want to show about humanity, about kindness and goodness. We should follow that in our lives as well. You know, I just listened to the radio yesterday, something very strange. They're talking about Osama bin Laden's wife coming here and living in this country with the 5 children. So normal people saying, oh, they're going to take the government funding, £8,000-9,000 a year being spent upon them. He was enemy number 1. But you know, non-Muslim, he came on the radio. You know what he said? Something very strange. He said, let them come to this country. You know why? To show the Muslim world that we're nice people. We're good people. He's been enemy number 1 in the world, but we're going to turn it around and show that we are tolerant people. We'll accept her to live in this country and her children, and we'll spend our money upon them, no problem. Imagine, this is a non-Muslim. He's saying, let us put the Muslim world to shame, the Muslim lands to shame, that we're showing compassion. We can forgive and we can forget. So this is something for us Muslims to begin to think about. We claim to be following the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in our lives. We claim that. How much are we really doing? We don't need to preach, brothers and sisters. We don't need to preach anything. You live those teachings inside your life, you'll find that people will begin to, inshallah, attract towards those teachings. So that's why we should use this approach of the teaching methods, extract those lessons, and begin to implement those lessons. ادع إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن. Call to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with fair preaching, admonition and hikmah. Whoever has been given hikmah, فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. You get wisdom inside your mind and your understanding, you've been given immense goodness. And وَجَادِلُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. Debate with them with what? In a good manner. هذه الآية لمن؟ للكفار لأهل الكتاب, for the people of the book. Debate with them in a good way. Don't debate with them in an incorrect manner, except for another ayahs of the Quran that mentions, don't debate with them except for a good way. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا مِنْهُمْ. Except for those who are the oppressors, those who are wrong amongst them, then you can debate and be harsh towards those individuals. So وَمَنْ يُؤْتَ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Whoever has been given wisdom has been given immense goodness and khair. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the ability to go back and drink and to learn from the words of the Prophet Muhammad, to take those words and to read them and to study them and to make that a great big impact upon our lives. If you want people to be attracted towards the light of Islam, not towards us, towards the light of Islam, then it is the teachings of Quran and Sunnah that will change all of us and make us better individuals, firstly in our relationship towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then towards the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then towards our parents, our family members and the wider community around us, that people begin once again to be attracted towards that wisdom or the light of Islam. وَقُولُوا قَوْلِ هَذَا وَأَسْتَغْفِرُ اللَّهَ لِي وَلَكُمْ وَلِجَمِيعِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ فَاسْتَغْفِرُوا إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ. بارك الله فيكم. Take any questions or corrections in the time of Adhan, inshallah. بارك الله فيكم. Any questions? No questions? No questions? Any questions on me? No? Any sweets? No sweet? Have you got any sweets on you? No?
You mentioned when you're giving dawah, you don't call people towards us Muslims because we have faults in ourselves.
Shouldn't force what, sorry?
We have faults within ourselves.
That's right.
Yeah, but there's a time when Prophet Salam went to the battlefield and Prophet Salam gave the banner to Ali bin Abi Talib.
That's right.
And then he told Prophet Salam, can we call them to Islam until they become like us?
Mm.
That's what he said. He didn't say become Muslims. He said like us.
Mm.
So that only refers to that time, not now.
No, at the end of the day, we know that Muslims are full of deficiencies, but at least there's certain things that we can be proud of. That we can come back to Sifatul Amma, general characteristics of Muslims, don't kill anybody innocently, wala yaznun, don't commit adultery, don't drink alcohol, don't steal, don't lie, don't cheat. Guess what? Most of these things exist amongst us, don't they? So we can at least get to that level and we can be proud of ourselves. That's what I'm saying. And we should be proud of ourselves. Why shouldn't we be proud of ourselves if we get to that level? But living more and more inside the society, you can see how we are corroding away. That those basic fundamentals that we should be holding fast to, they are slipping away from us. At the moment, like I said, many people talk about problems in the wider world. Yes, there's many problems. What's one of the biggest problems inside this country? As I touched upon, is zina. It's a reality. Most people don't even know. They think, oh, it's not going on. It's a big problem. If you look at the schools, the colleges, the universities, the work environment, that drug taking is a big problem in our community. That people are totally unaware. People don't even think there's a drug problem. Half of the traffickers of drugs in our community are what at the moment? Are Muslims. Did that exist when we were growing up? I don't ever recall there was a drug pusher in our community who was a Muslim. Never. But now, 15, 20 years down the line, you find what? It's Muslims. So that shows that we are corroding away. So that's why people think, you know what? There's no difference between me and you. You say it's haram, whatever it may be, but look at your life. Look at the life of average Muslims. There's a lot of good work, inshallah, needs to be done to get the people on the right track, inshallah. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, sorry, inshallah. Okay. They take this one question and we move on to another question. Well, there isn't enough help for sisters that wants to get married in order to protect their chastity. Yet I know more than 10 sisters that are looking to get married. The masjid should help these people in fulfilling half their deen. That's not an excuse for a person to say, I can just move away and not be a chaste individual. Okay, the asas for a Muslim man and a woman is to preserve their chastity and to guard their honor and their dignity. وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضِلُّكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. You obey most of the people around you will take you away from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So just because there's no means, it doesn't mean that I should stop being pious or stop being chaste or everyone's doing it, I should go and do these haram actions. Look, Muslims try to preserve themselves. You recognize it's haram. That's a big enough achievement. These people, Friday night, Saturday night, they don't recognize it's haram. It's a way of life for those individuals. And inshallah, وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. Whoever fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide a way out for that individual. And inshallah, masjids are working in a positive manner to become better institutes of helping people to get married, etc., to set up any organization. So we should, hopefully, the future will be bright, inshallah. Wallahu a'lam. Go ahead, akhi.
How do we reconcile the notion of being merciful to creation with the notion of coming across weak?
Become what, sorry?
Coming across weak.
Wait.
The second question is, how does it downstairs? How should they advise their parents?
So if you find Ibn Taymiyyah that you find mentioned that any the signs of Ahl Sunnah that you find, they are a'lamul khalq billahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're the most knowledgeable of the creation regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa arhamun nas lil khalq. And they're the most soft and gentle of people towards the people around them. So the more the person understands the rights and regulations that belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more the person begins to understand that my task is only to deliver the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At times you may need to be stern and harsh, but you have to look at the impact of you being stern and harsh, the impact it will have on the people around you. And obviously the people that we love, our parents, our brothers and sisters, it's very difficult to find that balance. That's with all of us. Because love inside your heart makes you go beyond the bounds. It may be easy for me to speak to you in a soft manner if I speak to my own family members and maybe slightly different individuals. So we all ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq and ability to deliver that message to the people that we love in the appropriate manner. The Quran mentions about Musa going to who? To Fir'aun. What does the Quran say to Musa? Go to him and say to him, Ya fajir, Ya kafir, Ya mujrim. Quran says to him, say to him what? Qawlan layyin. لَعَلَّهُ يَخْشَى. Go and say to him what? Soft words. That he may do what? He may fear Allah, or in other places you find, the person may begin to reflect and begin to think. This is Fir'aun. Nobody on the earth at the moment has come close to Fir'aun, okay? Bashar, Assad and all these guys, etc. you find, they're not close. They're obviously what they're doing, shouldn't be laughing about it. What they're doing is mass atrocities, okay? But all these individuals don't come to the level of Fir'aun. Yet the Quran still says that when you go, Musa alayhi salam, you go to Fir'aun, you speak to him in this manner that perhaps he may fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, begin to think. So before we go in to speak to our parents, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or people that we love, that oh Allah, open up our hearts to be soft and kind and to say the right words. Right, soft words will have a great impact upon the individual. You can try that through your lives. When you try to be harsh at times, it may not be the best of results. You take someone by the hand, speak to them and advise them, and sometimes you find a greater impact coming from those words if it's for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Go ahead, Afi. I'll repeat the question, sorry, I keep on forgetting, sorry, bad memory. Go ahead.
What would be the instant the conditions of a parent if they stand to deny the parent marriage due to ethnicities, cultures, and all that?
That brother asked the question, when can you bypass the parents and you begin to prevent a person to get married due to ethnicity, culture, whatever it may be? You can't bypass them, inshallah. Carry on struggling. Teach your parents and teach them and help them to understand, because there's two extremes to the answer. One is totally bypass them, and one is become subservient towards them. They have a right as well. There's nothing wrong with a parent saying that I want you to get married from such and such ethnicity. There's no harm in that. It's not haram in the Sharia. You want to marry your own qawm, your own people, because of the language, and you like biryani, you like samosa. Okay, there's nothing haram about that. Okay, because it's perfectly permissible in the Sharia. You read fiqh or usra, perfectly allowed. Most brothers and sisters go to the extreme. My parents are being cultural. What? No, they're not being cultural because they want to be able to speak to the person. They want to be able to live with the person. So if a person goes and gets married in Mexico or somewhere, or Russia or somewhere else, how are you going to engage? You just about have conversation. I know love has its language, okay, but at the same time, you don't marry just a person. You marry two nations. You marry two families. So her family has a right, your family has a right. So we have to teach our parents that at the same time, it's good to get married in your people, and it's also good to get married where? Outside your people. That's the balance. Not go to one extreme or to the other extreme, say my parents are totally wrong, or the parents say no, you totally have to get married in that culture. Try to teach them so they begin to understand that if you want to get married in your culture or outside your culture, as long as they're Muslims, then it's all allowed, inshallah. Wallah, go ahead, Akhil.
We also like biryani and chapati.
But you like it with banana on there, inshallah. You like it with banana. We don't like it with banana. It spoils it, huh?
But that thing is a very big obstacle, Chef.
What, biryani?
No. Getting to the biryani, that's a big obstacle, yeah? What I want to say, Chef, one thing that we need to address, and I think I told you last time you came here, about this huge obstacle of this. One sister said she knows 10 people, 10 sisters want to get married. I know 30 brothers here who want to get married, Chef. And there's this very big obstacle here, and our elders are not addressing it, yeah? I think it's something maybe we can stress it out to them.
Inshallah, barakallahu feek. I mean, I'm sure we touched upon it, and I'm sure that Aimma, mashallah, you have here, mashallah, will also touch upon it as well, inshallah.
Remind our elders again, just.
I think they've heard me telling them. Is there anybody, this brother, I think is getting desperate? Is there anybody? Inshallah. Allah make it easy for you, inshallah. Allah make it easy for all the brothers. At least the elders, they're listening, they're understanding, and slowly it will take a slight amount of time for many things to change and people's mentality to change, inshallah. May Allah make that easy for all the brothers, inshallah. Okay, go ahead, Akhil. We've conveyed the message, inshallah. Hopefully next time I come here, inshallah, there'll be biryani for you downstairs. Go ahead, brother, the back there, go ahead.
Islam, when it comes to Islam, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah has united us, whether you are Pakistan. It doesn't matter where you come from.
That's right.
So if you want to marry, provided the person is a Muslim, and he get people who testify that he's a Muslim.
That's right.
I think, for me, I'm just asking, do you think your parents have right to say that, no, you don't have to marry so person because he's not from our tribe, or he's not from our tribe, because there is an instance where you could read a newspaper, at times it's very embarrassing that they come from the same country, they speak the same language, but because they're not from their tribe or their clan, they tend to say no. You understand? That's where I want you to.
Don't worry, I'm with you, brother. We have the same problem as well. You could be from the same language, same tribe, and you could be next door neighbors. But because that's 5 yards out, and you need to go on towards this side, so they will reject your marriage. So that's,
They have rights. That's what I'm saying.
obviously we teach our, like I said, we teach our parents in a good way, and inshallah the future is getting a lot more brighter. Many of us have come to this country, parents are more tolerant to getting married outside the culture, the tribe, etc. So it is working in the right direction, inshallah. Take one last question, don't disturb those people coming to the masjid.
There is Quran or Hadith that said they have rights. That's what I'm saying. It's not about teaching.
There is, they do have rights, Akhi. They have rights. Like I said, we have to teach them not to abuse their rights, inshallah.
Huh?
Yeah.
That question is a circumstance that
It's even that
it's
question, don't worry.
driving some brothers away and sisters to do some fajr.
Let me take this last question before the adhan. We don't disturb the people coming in the masjid, inshallah. Go ahead.
Sorry, really, I'm a married man, I'm not dealing with. But I'm just asking questions about, in Lewisham Mosque, they do some kind of events where, woman and man
Together
arrange something like that. Is there any way you can arrange like
If you're asking me to go and speak to the Aimah, that's what it looks like, Sheikh. You're hearing it yourself, aren't you? Where's Imam Ali tonight? I think we should give this lecture to him tonight.
Basically, what it means is like.
I understand.
correspondence and all
That's right.
that.
Organized. That's right. The masjid should have some form of database, and people who are interested in marriage, the imams intervene, look at their CV, look at their character, look at their behavior, do a cross-reference check, and they seem to be the right people to begin. The whole masjid should be your right. It should be the whole institute of helping people to come in the right direction. Inshallah. I'll see you guys are trying to use me to get your. Inshallah, we'll stop there because I think maybe want to do that. You want to make hijrah? Fadala. Inshallah. We'll let the mu'adhin do the adhan, so you don't spoil, inshallah. Barakallahu feek, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair.